one-off occurrence. It appears to be the result of some sort of contamination from farmland, and that in a sense the water company, although it should have paid more heed to dealing with its customers, actually couldn't have done anything about it? Or do you think that this is the result of not investing as it should have done in what it needed to stop happening?
I think there's a bit of both. And the bottom line is they, I think, dismissed residents' concerns of people who were getting ill, and they said there wasn't a problem, and then a week later discovered there was a problem. So they shouldn't have dismissed it as hand in the first place. We've been through in the last 3 or 4 years enough drama and trauma with COVID, etc., for companies such as South West Water to have contingency plans and emergency plans for just this. And this paradox, it's not rare. I mean, it does occur, annually, so they should know how to deal with it.
Michael Smith, joint owner of Venus Cafe in Broad Sands. Wonderful Broad Sands. Thank you.
17 minutes past 7. One of the UK's biggest real estate investment companies has just reported its full year results, and Fliss has been taking it.
Yes, I have. The FTSE 100 listed Landsec has a £10 billion portfolio which includes the Blue Water Shopping Centre in Kent and White Rose in Leeds. It's posted a loss before tax of £341 million, and its chief executive Mark Allen joins me now. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
A tough year for you then. Your portfolio value is down 6%. You made a loss. Is that because of high interest rates, or is your strategy wrong?
I think whenever you look at property companies, you always have to split the overview into two, really. So first of all, what are our customers doing? What are our occupiers doing? And on that side of things, we continue to see growth in occupancy, growth in rent. The demand for space in the best shopping centres, the best offices is stronger than ever. Of course, then you've got to value that cash flow, and the way in which those cash flows are valued are always linked to bond yields. So you do see a rise in interest rates lead to a rise in property yields, and that tends to lead to a reduction in values. But the overall cash generation, the truthful year-to-year profit from which we get that was stable year on year, despite the fact that we're busy selling properties. So I think with respect to our strategy, which is to focus our capital where we've got real competitive advantage, best-in-class properties, I think that has been proven for the third, fourth year running now to be the right strategy. But rising rates are always going to be a bit of a challenge.
And your portfolio is very focused. About 80% of your portfolio invested in just 12 places. I want to talk to you about your strategy. You've purchased an additional 25% stake in the Blue Water Shopping Centre, and you've said previously you'd like to invest up to £1 billion more in bricks and mortar retail. What do you know that we don't?
We always look at the performance, the underlying performance of our properties. We listen to, talk to, and see what our customers are doing. So if I take retail, major shopping centres in particular, you can listen to all of the big brands, particularly the big fashion brands, and the narrative for quite a long time has been that they're shutting stores because of the move to online. And on one level that's absolutely right, but on the flip side they are focusing on increasing the size of the stores they want to keep. So they want fewer stores, but they want bigger, better stores. But they only want them in the very best locations. So whether it's in Blue Water, White Rose, the ones you've mentioned, or St David's in Cardiff, Gunwharf in Portsmouth, Westgate in Oxford, what we're seeing is an increased demand for space. That means occupancy is going up, and it means rents are going up, and that's after a 5-year period where there was quite a substantial downward correction in rents because of that shift to online. But for the very best shopping centres, demand now is strong and growing.
Mark Allen from Landsec, thank you very much.
Thank you. First, 7:20 to the time. Thousands of children with complex needs are missing out on support at school because local councils are not meeting their deadlines for care plans to be provided. That is what the BBC has discovered in an analysis of what is going on in councils around England. Let's talk to Sam Corcoran, who's leader of Cheshire East Council, who's on the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Give us an idea of the kind of pressures that the council is under and what is and is not possible in this area.
Well, the system is broken. breaking councils and families. It starts with the Educational Health and Care Plan, the EHCPs, and there's a 20-week deadline to complete the EHCPs, but there's a shortage of staff to do that, and that arises largely because of the increased demand to reduce the EHCPs. The number of EHCPs doubled across the country from 2015 to 2022, and in Cheshire East it increased by 18% just last year. So there's a huge demand for EHCPs, and we need more staff to do that, but we have to recruit and train those staff.
And without the HCP, what happens?
Well, deal would be that schools would intervene early and help the children at an early stage. So the ideal would be you wouldn't need an EHCP at all. That the parents would simply be told, this is the package that we think your child would want. But schools are starved of funding, so they don't have the resources to do that. So you get an adversarial system where the parent demands an EHCP. Once they've got an EHCP, that says what the child is entitled to, and the parent will then demand what the EHCP says. If they don't get that, they can appeal to a tribunal, and parents win over 90% of the tribunal cases. So you can see the whole system is geared to an adversarial system, which is for councils. It's not good for the families, it's not good for the children.
No, not good for the children and their parents, and the stress that they are under, particularly when they're trying to get things sorted out for a child who they may well feel every month, in a month potentially it does an enormous damage.
And the problem with this, for the councils as well, is the costs of the high needs block that ends at the end of this system, with a lot of children going to private schools, often out of area, so you have to pay for transport costs as well. Those costs are breaking councils. So in the case of Cheshire East Council, we receive roughly £50 million a year from the government for high needs, but we're spending, well, we're projected to be spending over £100 million in the next few years. That extra £50 million of overspend, we are instructed by the government to put into a negative reserve. So it's almost putting it onto, it puts it on the balance sheet, it doesn't go through our income and expenditure account.
It's interesting when you bring up the subject of private schools. What happens when there's VAT on private schools, which under Labour, if we get in, there would be?
Well, that would simply be a money go round. The money would go through VAT to central government, hopefully come back to local government. But the funding does need to be addressed, but the whole system is broken. We need to fix the system as well that puts this excessive demands on high needs special schools. And I do accept there are many children who do need special schools, but for a lot of children the best place to help them is in mainstream schools with extra support in mainstream schools. But the system pushes people to expensive special schools. And because the demand has increased so much in recent years, those schools have been able to put up their prices because there's a shortage of places.
Sam Hawthorne, leader of Cheshire East Council, thank you very much.
It's now 24 minutes past 7. This is a true story. It says at the start of Baby Reindeer, Netflix's hit drama. The company executive told a committee of MPs with questions, it's a true story of the horrific abuse that the writer suffered at the hands of a convicted stalker, but is it? One of the MPs, John Nicholson of the SNP, thinks the claim may not in fact be true, and is challenging the company, not just to back up its claim, but to prove that they didn't lie or mislead members of Parliament, which is a very serious charge. I'm joined by our culture and media editor, Katie Razzle. Morning to you, Katie.
Morning, Nick.
What's the row about the facts here?
Well, yeah, let's get to it. I guess if you're not one of the 65 million people around the world who watch Baby Reindeer, let's just remind you what it is, which is the story of a guy stalked by a woman who sends in 41,000 emails, which everybody gets exactly misery, and sorry for the story, but as I said, it's due to the story, eventually goes to prison. Richard Gadd, who writes the stars of it, says it's a story of what really happened to him, as you said at the start of episode 1, it says it's a true story. So there it is, it's a drama, it's a true story. When it came out, it breached it almost immediately. Internet sleuths went on the hunt for the person Martha was allegedly based on. The name was She then, in an interview for Piers Morgan, threaten legal action against Netflix, because when it comes to duty of care, what's being said is that Netflix is covering the behaviour drama done by films, which, by the way, is owned by the studios, should have taken more care to disguise the identity of the woman, the character based on the drama. She's Scottish, she's a lawyer, she's moved away, all of which and more explain made identification easy.
And the key fact here is whether there's a conviction or not, isn't it? In other words, there may be a dispute between the two parties about exactly what happened. There can't really be a dispute about how much has been convicted.
Well, exactly. And he's making it right, because he's a member of the Culture Select Committee. The Netflix executive Benjamin King appeared before the committee, and as you said, he was asked about Baby Reindeer. Netflix has not commented in any way, apart from this, in any way officially, but in his evidence, as you said, he mentioned the fact she was a convicted stalker, and, as you said, it's an offence to knowingly mislead Parliament. And so what John Nicholson is saying, you know, it's clear that the evidence given by Netflix to the Select Committee is disputed because, as he puts it, the charge made of the conviction is very important, and journalists can find no evidence to back up the Netflix claim, which is true. You know, so far there is no evidence of a stalking conviction.
Quick last question. I've not watched it. Lots of people listening will not have watched it. I mean, plenty will have done, of course. And they might think, who cares? Why does this matter? What's the bigger issue at stake?
I think there are quite a lot of issues at stake, actually. One of them is, at the moment, Netflix is not governed by the same codes as, you know, the BBC who we work for example, although the law is changing. So at the moment, anything, you know, the programme is made, of course, you know, people are saying about this programme that, you know, essentially they didn't, or should, it looks like they didn't jump through the hoops that public service broadcasters, for example, broadcasters would have had to jump through to be sure the show doesn't find itself in the kind of situation Netflix is in now. Clearly at the same time, she is alleging defamation, invasion of privacy, and a lot of the most basic duty of care responsibilities. And if you think about it, you don't want one day to find yourself in a programme you didn't know existed. If, as she claims, she is not guilty of any of these things, we can't test those, but we do know so far there has been no sign of a conviction.
Well, we don't know. Okay. Katie Razzle, thank you.
From 7:15 to the Sport and Gap.
Good morning to you. It was a late finish at the Gulf, so if you have an early night, the main headline from the USPGA in Louisville is that Rory McIlroy and Scotland's Robert McIntyre are handily placed after the first round. Both players are 4 shots behind Schauffele, who leads the tournament by 3 after he hit a major equaling round of 62. So is he in his best form ever?
Probably. You have moments in time where you feel like you can control the ball really well, you're seeing the greens really well, you're chipping really well, but over a prolonged period, it's tough to upkeep, you know, high performance. But yeah, it's very close to it, if not it.
And let's hear from Rory McIlroy. 4 off the lead, but he wasn't completely pleased with his round.
Sort of felt like it was pretty scrappy for the most part, so I don't really feel like I left many out there. I thought I got a lot out of my game. You know, some good up and downs, you know, the chip in on 6. You know, I had a little bit of a scrappy part around the turn there, but not really happy with how I played, but at least happy with the score.
I don't know if you saw the football last night, but Leeds were in brilliant form. They hammered Norwich City 4-0 to reach the Championship playoff final. It was a fantastic atmosphere at Ellen Road, and that was the starting point for Leeds manager Daniel Farke in his match summary.
Great scenes here at Ellen Road, atmosphere again, second to none. Many compliments to our supporters who made this place a rocking place, but also especially to our players who was really controlled and controlled performance. Second leg, half final. Can't take it for granted that you're there so much in control over the whole 90 minutes. And yes, great night.
And Leeds will play either Southampton or West Brom for a place in the Premier League, and those two sides this evening. I mentioned Andy Murray on the programme yesterday. He's on the comeback trail, but at a tournament in Bordeaux, he lost his second round match, 6-4, 6-2, to a chap called Gregory Barret. The tournament was Murray's first since he sustained a serious ankle injury back in March. And England cricketer Josh Tongue is another sportsman struggling with fitness. He's suffered a setback with a chest problem. He's set to miss a significant part of the season. Well, today in Northampton, England's women play Pakistan in the second T20, and Henry Moran looks ahead.
England will fully expect to build on a victory that was far from flawless in the first T20. Top order collapse Hawks last weekend was a worrying performance that can't be repeated. But they were able to rebuild from 11 for 4 to a match-winning total will provide confidence. In a World Cup year, what England really want to see is big contributions from star names that fell all too cheaply at the weekend. The return of Nasir Brunt after a minor medical procedure will make England stronger. Pakistan are a side they'd expect to beat comfortably. There are unquestionably good elements in the first match of this series, the spin bowling attack in particular. Now England need to see a more rounded display from their highly rated side.
Here are the racing selections, both for York at 3:50, number 5, Devoted Queen, and at 3:45, number 4, it's a horse called Gregory.
Thank you very much, Gary. It's Wednesday morning on Radio 4's This.
I'm Tim Hart, and here at More or Less we have a weekly guide to the numbers and statistics and news and everyday life.
London's average rent is expected to soar to £2,700.
6.5 billion animals pass through the airport.
Only the richest 4% of the population is affected by this tax. But is that really the case?
When those numbers don't seem to add up, we're here to crunch the calculations. No questions or numbers too big or too small. The new series of More or Less with me, Tim Harford, starts next Wednesday morning at 9 on BBC Radio 4 and on BBC 7.
Always worth a listen to that. Quick look at the weather. Fog clearing today to leave sunny spells and isolated showers possibly.
You're listening today on Radio 4 with, it says here, Mick Robinson and just what rather suits you. 28 minutes to 8 is the time. Jane Steele will talk.
The United Nations humanitarian aid chief, Martin Griffiths, has warned that famine is an immediate, clear and present danger in Gaza. He said the start of Israel's offensive in the city of Rafah on the border with Egypt had made planning and distributing aid almost impossible. The State Department has urged Israel and Egypt to ensure Rafah crossing is reopened for deliveries as soon as possible. In the past half hour, the French government has said police have killed a man trying to set fire to a synagogue in Rouen in Normandy. There are no other details at the moment. Officials in Russia's Belgorod region on the border with Ukraine say a woman and her 4-year-old son have been killed when their car was struck by a Ukrainian drone. Across the border in Ukraine's Kharkiv region, an air raid alert has been lifted after more than 16 and a half hours. The alert was the longest reported since the start of the Russian invasion in February 2022. At least 5 drones have hit the city of Kharkiv, causing a fire. The Children's Commissioner for England, Dame Rachel D'Souza, has expressed her shock after a BBC investigation found that thousands of children with complex needs are missing out on support. Research shows adults are failing to deliver care plans within a statutory timeframe of 20 weeks. The Local Government Association has blamed increasing demand and insufficient funding. The Department of Education said funding for young people with complex needs had risen by 60% this year. The Health Secretary, Victoria Atkins, has said the upcoming talks on ending the long-running pay dispute with junior doctors in England will be held in complete secrecy. She likened the negotiations to a peace process away from the glare of the media. For the first time in almost 50 years, the Roman Catholic Church is updating its guidelines on reporting apparitions or supernatural phenomena. The document is to be published by the Vatican's doctrinal office.
Jane, thank you. 26 minutes to 8 now. Every day a new story emerges which illustrates the fact that all water companies are in deep, deep trouble. It's still not safe to drink the water in South Devon after it seems animal manure got through a faulty water valve. This news came after other news that millions of litres of raw sewage have been illegally pumped into Lake Windermere, and that the equivalent of 10 Olympic swimming pools of sewage have been discharged into the River Trent. Water companies are under pressure to clean up their act at the same time as being told by their shareholders that they're not prepared to foot the bill for the massive investment needed. We'll hear from the boss of Severn Trent Water in just a moment about how she's trying to reconcile those demands. First, our business editor, the latest in the crisis of the country's largest water company, Thames Water, Simon Jack, joins us on the line. Still a fight going on about who foots the bill at Thames, and that is a story that could affect all water bill payers everywhere, could it, Simon?
It could. Quite an important week next week, actually, Nick, because often to discuss the proposals across the whole industry for what they want to put the bills up by. They basically range from 15% to 70% at Southern. Thames' middle of pack are asking 40% above inflation. They'll then be a bit of agony of comes out about half what you're asking for, and they'll finally come to a draft determination on June 12th, and with a final decision in December. Thames ultimate owners have already said we can't work with that. We're out. We've seen in the last 24 hours that the biggest shareholder in Thames has withdrawn its director from the board of the parent companies, Campbell. So people saying it wasn't a bluff, they really are out. But Thames have said the actual utility that serves 15, 16 million people can keep going for another year or so, but when that does run out of money, quasi-nationalisation or special administration is increasingly likely, and that could end up costing taxpayers money because they could be on the hook there. I think across the wider industry, there is a widespread view, like that over many years, Ofwat has prioritised keeping bills low at the cost of reduced investment. If you couple that over several years with the very warm, very wet winter we've seen, that's exposed that investment in some infrastructure has been overwhelmed, so people scramble around to find new ways of funding new investments. I think in the case of Thames, the concern is if it is put into administration, the lenders to the actual company that supply Ofwat won't be able to get money back at great borrowing costs for all water companies, and they're seen as riskier, and that will become Ofwat played that down. They said we can't regulate the whole industry on the basis of Thames, a very heavily indebted tail wagging the entire industry dog.
Well, Simon, that's clear. Let's turn then to the boss, the Chief Executive of Severn Trent Water, Liv Garfield, who joins us on the line. Morning to you.
Good morning.
I know you've announced we want to talk about what you're doing, but just before we do, just pick up that point from Simon Jack, that if these troubles continue in the largest water company in Thames Water, you could find difficulties, other water companies could find difficulties getting shareholders to cough up the money you need.
So it's quite different actually for ourselves. We actually went to our investors just last October and asked them to inject money into the company, and they gave us £1 billion of cash. So it's very, very different. So I'm not in a position to comment on Thames, but I can reassure every Severn Trent customer that we have a very healthy, very, very strong financial situation. We are typically named as the financial leader by Ofwat. And actually what I want to talk about today is how we're going to spend that £1 billion cash injection from shareholders on the topics that customers are most energised about.
Well, the topic they're most energised about is the fact that at Severn Trent there were over 60,000 sewage spills in the last year, which is an increase of more than a third.
So spot on. And I've worked in the sector for 10 years. I live and breathe the company. I live and breathe want to do a good job, and knowing the customers are really not happy about our performance in this sewage situation does make me feel good, and that's why today we're announcing that at over 900 sites we're going to be investing hundreds of millions of pounds with thousands of new capital solutions, all by the end of the year. So we're talking about hundreds of people across ourselves and our supply chain, literally building capital solutions between now and ideally Christmas, possibly going into January, February, funded, as I said, by that investor contribution late last year.
You see, it's funded by the investor contribution. Why then are your bills going up by more than a third, by 35%, according to Ofwat, in the next 5 years?
So what I'm talking about today is what happened.
No, but I'm talking to you not just about what you're announcing today, I'm talking to you about what bill payers are worried about, which is their bills are going up by more than a third over the next 5 years.
No, I was going to answer the point, don't worry, I'm not avoiding the question. Okay? So, two things. There is the money that's being invested over the next year that doesn't affect customers' bills over that period of time. Bills are preset to the end of 2025. So my announcement today is about spending that investor cash. In terms of bills going up between 2025 and 2030, which is your point, then yes, bills, you know, there is a discussion point with the regulator about bills going up. Now, to contextualise it though, to give you some context, if you just say across the year, the bill increase between now
brings us to 17 minutes, 8 time for Talk for the Day. The speaker this morning is Jagbir Jusa Jahal, who is Professor of Sikh Studies at the University of Birmingham.
Good morning. As I stood in my garden last week, the first thing I noticed was the buzzing of bees as they busily and diligently moved from flower to flower. For me, the sight of bees marks the time to shed the winter blues and look forward to the warmer weather ahead. Bees are so vital to our ecosystem, yet they and other pollinators are increasingly under threat from human activities. Habitat loss, parasites, diseases and climate change have all contributed to their decline. The UK government's National Bee Unit this month put out a bulletin to beekeepers that noted bee inspectors across England and Wales have observed a decline in food stores for some colonies of bees, following the recent wet weather which meant bees were unable to collect pollen, leaving them weak after the winter. Friends of the Earth reports that the UK has already lost 13 bee species at risk. To raise awareness of pollinators' importance and the threats they face, the UN designated 20th of May as World Bee Day, aiming to protect pollinators and their habitats for environmental sustainability and food security, particularly in developing countries. Since ancient times, bees have been featured in many religious scriptures. In the Guru Granth Sahib, references to bees are made to highlight interconnectedness and living in harmony with the eternal and all aspects of creation, since the Creator manifests within all forms of life. As Guru Nanak says, "You yourself are the bumblebee, the flower, the fruit and the tree. You yourself are the water, the desert, the ocean and the pool. You yourself are the great fish, the tortoise, the cause of causes. Your form cannot be known." Bees symbolize the importance of harmony within nature. Just as bees diligently gather nectar to sustain their hive, Sikhs are encouraged to work tirelessly for the betterment of their community and the world at large. The hive represents the collective consciousness where each individual plays a vital role in the greater whole. Just as the Guru Granth Sahib teaches respect for all creatures, including bees, Sikhs are reminded of their duty to protect and nurture the environment, recognizing it as a sacred gift from the divine. There are things we as individuals can do to help bees and other pollinators, such as planting bee-friendly flowers, pesticides in our gardens. They also need governments and farmers to take action, and hopefully together we can work towards restoring and protecting the world's bees, and ultimately improve food security, benefiting both human populations and our fragile ecosystem.
That was Talk for the Day with Jagbir Jusa Jahal. It brings us to 14 minutes.
Now, we at the Today programme are always keen to welcome new members to our club. But here's one new member who, I confess, took even me by surprise.
Hi there, it's Dolly Parton, and I'm tickled pink that you're so curious about my UK roots. I can't give away all the secrets just yet. You'll have to tune in to our documentaries later this year to find out all the juicy details. Hey, thank you for having my wonderful niece Jade on the show today. You be sure to listen to her new record. It's good.
Yes, that was indeed Dolly Parton talking exclusively to the Today programme ahead of the documentary she's doing on the fact that she has roots, not in Tennessee as you were thinking, but in Wales. And helping her to explore those roots in that documentary is her niece Jada Starr, who is in her own right a singer and songwriter, who joined me from Nashville a little earlier as to how it felt discovering the Welsh roots of the family.
Oh, I think it's so wonderful. I think it's so amazing, and that's kind of a thing. Genealogy helps unite us and kind of helps expand the world for us from where we are to where we came from, you know, and I love that part of it. So getting to find out that side of our family is really extraordinary, especially with all the things we're finding out about our connections with music and how that's always been with us. Is really wonderful. It's really a lot of fun.
So there are roots in Wales for Dolly Parton's music?
I think for a lot of music, but definitely, especially music that just comes from the Appalachians, in East Tennessee, where we came from, because that's where those people settled. And she's gonna snip my hair off if I tell you anything else.
Oh, go on into it. But you're interested in music here in the UK. I know you're going to perform in your own right at Glastonbury, aren't you? What is it that you hear in Welsh music that gives you a reminder of what it is that you and Dolly do?
I feel that it's definitely the skill of being able to hear a story told to you and then to relay that story to others in a way that's memorable. And so that story can live on forever. And that's what so much Welsh music is, isn't it? It's stories that have just been passed down for centuries. And that's the same thing Appalachian music is, and a lot of country music, a lot of music, you know, has roots there, but especially Dolly's music and the music I grew up.
You've taken this very seriously. You're learning Welsh, I understand.
I'm trying my best. I've got that little owl on Duolingo working double time for me. I can greet people in the morning, I can give a good bore da, and I can say deal. I could say thank you, and I can do some different morning greetings and afternoon greetings. I think Brynhunda, I think. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to butcher it. And when I get there, I hope that everyone can help me, too.
Now, we're looking forward to the documentary, but do we get a big Dolly Parton gig in Conwy?
Well, I'm going to have to talk to her about that, aren't I?